we own. Oh, hi guys, we're live. Hi guys, good afternoon. Welcome to another BrownSense in Conversation live stream. And today we have Ukanya from Matawi. Hi Kanya, how are you?
Hi, Charles. I'm very, very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I can't complain. Now, I've been waiting to actually come on here and interview you. I know you've been looking forward to it, and finally, we're here today.
I
How are
have.
you feeling?
I was like, not even with Eskomos was Pota today, not even. I've been so excited. I'm so happy to be here.
Asoze nangephathi kaMandela. Right. So shooting straight into it, I want us to go through the name Matawi. So tell us, Uguti, what is the brand Matawi? How did it come about? And why this particular part of a business?
Sure. So Matawi is a Swahili name, Yekanele Kenya, and it's a Swahili name that means branches, which is why our logo is a branch, as you will have seen. And the reason that we have the branch as our logo is because we're inviting drinkers to branch off the regular track and to try something unusual. And the something unusual is iqhilika, which is fermented honey, basically. But we're bringing it back for the modern times and we're giving it a more sophisticated spin than it used to be made. So that's basically who Matawi is. But the way the business came about, I used to work in the human rights space. I was doing a lot of policy work, and obviously a policy is based on the needs of people and the needs of communities. So isikhathi esiningi we would visit communities, especially rural areas. Sihambe siyohlola ukuthi, what are the situations that people are facing. But for me, the saddest part was that I did this work for close on 15 years, and there are communities that you would go to regularly. Mine affected communities, rural communities, as I said, and you would find the same people. So you're actually able to check in what has changed since the last time you were there. But isikhathi esiningi, people had such resilience, such intelligence. They knew isimo sabo. They could explain with a level of sophistication ukuthi these are the things that would improve our situations. But I was not seeing the improvement. And so I reached a point where I felt ukuthi no man, angikwazi ukumane ngiphusha amaphepha. I need to do something ezokwazi ukuthi size umuntu esaphila, And so my conviction was, let me start a business, let me create jobs, let me employ people, at least let me do something that I can say, ukuthi this thing of mine made a difference in someone's life. And so that is how we started Matawi. And it's with the hope that we'll get people to supply us with the honey to make the fermented honey. Abantu abazojabulela bayiphuze ngaphambi.
No, no, no. That's so fantastic to hear. Sorry about that, guys. I'm a little bit outdoors, so there's going to be a little bit of disturbances. Other than that, that's such a great story to hear. And for me, what I want to know is okay, or rather, what I'd rather want to appreciate currently is the fact that you actually going out there and creating more jobs for everyone. Currently, right now, can you tell us if it's okay? How many people are in your team and making Imatawi happen and making it the brand that it is today?
That it is today. Sure. So, I mean, when I talk about the business as it is now, I even get frustrated because it's like, Kayla, so we're a very small team. But angihambing ngedwa. I've basically got uMinenhle Sibisi, who's our head of sales, and I have an intern, Brendan, who has come out from the US just to spend 6 months with us, helping us on the marketing side. And then it's myself as the founder. But the reason I'm a co-founder is because this business, yaqalwa yimina and my mother, who is now 82, and she's the silent partner in the business. So she really helps when it comes to recipe development, when it comes to quality assurance and tasting. And then I also work with, obviously, our background is traditional fermentation, but we are not biochemists. And so on the commercial side, we are assisted by Dr. Ernst Thompson, who's the founder of Cape Town Mead Company. And
Mhm.
I go back over 20 years. He's someone who has really just shown me the ropes, ungifundise the technicalities, and also just assisted me to understand the regulatory side of the business. And then we also have two part-time workers, but when they prefer to stay in the background, and they assist very much as technical assistants within the factory and with the delivery and the distribution side of things. So we're a small team, but we're dreaming very, very big. And then we're also fortunate to partner with AMA cooperatives, and it's really on the cooperative side where the employment is much more large scale. At the moment, we're working with the cooperative Yaset Darling in the Western Cape, and it's a small group of women who basically are beekeepers, and they are the ones who supply us with the honey.
All right, beautiful. So you said earlier on, Lorna, your brand is mainly the main ingredient yakona is fermented honey. Am I correct in that?
That's right.
All right,
That's right.
cool. I want you to quickly introduce us to the products that you have on list, and then tell us a little bit more about each and every product.
Sure. So let me start you right at the beginning before I introduce the brand stable. So
All
I
right.
think you'll remember what like in the long days, the way people would make uchala, they would take ukamba and they would put the main ingredients and then just wait for them
Oh
to ferment.
yes.
So it was the same with Iqhileka. It's basically water and honey. And then, people use different activating agents. The most common one now, obviously, is yeast. And from that, we basically take that as a base for everything that we do. And the first product that I'll introduce you to, which is available on the BrownSense platform, is Matawi's Braggot. And this one is a very sour beer. We call it a honey beer, basically. And it's a blend of Ipileka with a crafted pale ale. And I was really excited that you did the review of this one as well, Charles. So so
Yep.
it's a we really try to, because we use the honey, people they have the expectation that it will be like a very, very, very sweet something. So we set ourselves the challenge to make something which was a bit more dry. So umuntu ongayithandi into enoshukela omningi, this is the one for them. It's very, very sour. It's very nice when it's chilled. Mina ngiyayithanda, ugogo approved. So really, that's what matters. And then we also have our gin, which is basically we take it Pilika and we distill it over a lot of African botanicals. I won't mention them all, but you'll pick up the notes of pepper, black pepper. You'll pick up the notes of citrus. You'll pick up the usual suspects within a gin. Obviously, it has to have a juniper berry. It has to have angelica root. But ours also has ipoho, which is a local herb, and then it also has coriander. We have other types of citrus, and then also you pick up a lot of clove, a lot of cinnamon. So people, when they drink matawi, they often say it's not the dry gin that they're used to. It's much more complex, and they definitely pick up what it's got that spiciness. But because of the honey, it actually makes it very rounded and very smooth. And I can't even show you a bottle because the only gin that remains is with BrownSense. So Amanda Bagwazo Kailaza, they've bought us out. If they don't buy from BrownSense, we're still waiting on the distillation of the replenishment. But if BrownSense had the foresight to stock up on a lot of Matawi gin, so that's the only place that you can get it in South Africa right now. And then our third product is this one, which is it's one of my favorites, but it's very versatile. And this is our honey liqueur. And what we did with this one, Charles, we distilled it as well, but obviously in liqueur you fortify, so you reintroduce the honey to stop the distillation process, so the alcohol level is not as high as the gin. So each gin it was at 43%, but this one is at 30%, so it's actually quite high for a liqueur. But then we back sweetened it with more honey, and it's got a lot of that West Coast honey I was telling you about, which is very, very floral, very boss, and very sweet. So Ilekyo, I not even pretending, it's not shy. It is so sweet. It's very nice on ice. A lot of people like it on ice. I actually quite like it with a very strong espresso coffee. But then it introduces that sweet element. So you make yourself filter coffee, you put in a little bit of your liqueur, you finish it off with a dollop of cream, you are winning dessertish coffee. And then other people actually quite like it as a dessert, either as an, as a digestive after a meal, or in
Mhm.
fact, even on top of ice cream, just to add that honey sweetness to it. And this too is also available on the BrownSense marketplace.
All right, definitely. There you have it, guys. Matawi is available with BrownSense.Africa. Please do shop for it. There's the link down below. Find that link and go and shop. What I can say is I've tasted all three products. To your discovery, it's not only just the beer, but it's also the gin. I bought the gin, when was it? In December. Yeah, it was in December. I got it
Yeah.
in December. I'm like, let me try it out. Guess what? Guess to my surprise. Okay, like we usually expecting the plain gin, and
Yes.
it does have the
Right.
botanical flavors. I will put it right next to all your premium, what you call, gins. All those gins that have botanical flavors, definitely I'll put it on that rank, same rank as it is. It is available individually. It is available as a duo pack on our BrownSense e-commerce sites, which is brownsense.africa. Look for Imatari over there, and you should be sorted. All right, please don't forget to shop over there. And then whilst we at it, I want to ask you, right? Why particularly itching? Okay, we know there's itching, there's the option of vodka as Ilona, as you are going into the alcohol market. But would you say, Uguti, there's a specific reason why you chose itching and a liqueur? And does that have to do
Absolutely.
with the honey?
It does actually, it does, Charles. So, I mean, the one thing, what's so interesting about it, Qhilika, it's that, and I use Qhilika and mead interchangeably, but I use Qhilika because it's our word for mead. But
Mm,
basically, mead, which is an alcoholic honey, it's the oldest known alcoholic beverage, mhlaba wonke. It's found in every single culture. So in archaeological digs at China, they found vessels there, India, all over Africa. In Africa, we have one of the strongest cultures of mead that is still ongoing. So in Ethiopia, the prominent trailer, whether it's Gayekaya or Tangapanje, it's Tej. And for them, Tej is Iqhilika yethu. And then with us, basically, we had Iqhilika was made by Xhosa communities where they would ferment it in an ant hill or a termite hill. That's where they would bake it basically to give the heat, or they would put it underground. And then within the Khoi communities, they were really smart. They would actually just go to where the hive was, and they would put the arrowroot, which is what would basically start the disintegration of the honey. So I'm
mm,
giving you a whole history lesson. But the reason I'm giving you this lesson is because as other grains started to be used for utshwala, obviously honey is expensive. So it meant the other ones were taking off, and the honey based one, which had been the prominent one, yaqala
mm,
ukusala emuva. So we knew that we're bringing a product to market that most people would either have forgotten, not grown up around, or not even had any exposure to.
mm,
And then we also knew ukuthi our regulations are very strict. So, noma ngifisa kangakanani, I can never make a vodka out of a honey. Vodka has to be the very specific potato, or I think they even
mm,
make a few other exceptions in terms of the grains that is permissible. But when it comes to gin, fortunately, you can use any base spirit to distill and create a gin. And I knew South Africa has quite a strong gin culture, which means people have an appetite for gin. They won't assume they know what it tastes like, because on the one hand you've got Igilbis, and then on the other hand you've got Inverosh. So it means that they like exploring and they like they're open to try. They're open to try different things. So I knew, okay, I can land them with this fermented honey. It's unusual, mhlawumbe bayijwayele, mhlawumbe bayazi at all, but they'll be open to try, which may not be the case if I'm giving them just a still qiliga on the nose. And it was the same with the liqueur. With the liqueur, it was really about giving people the broad spectrum of the product, from something which is actually quite dry and strong on the botanicals to something which is what your mind would think of if you think of a fermented honey. So our liqueur is just, people refer to it as liquid, but it's liquid gold, you know. Umucabanga type of liqueur, that's the one that you, so we thought, okay, let's give people the one abayilindele vele, and then let's give them also, just to show how diverse and how much scope for creativity there is with this product. And then, of course, the unasked question, but which is the one that I enjoy answering most, is that because we're making fermented honey, we're not aslimi, you know? So it means we're not having to chala, water, cylinder, for your ikhule. And the advantage of that is that we only use water for production. So, you know, I am based in Cape Town. Our factory is based in Cape Town. I'm sure there was a time last because water was so scarce. And so it's very important to us to contribute to that environmental protection, to make sure we are conserving water. So if you can have your kaliga and your water, we say, viva, why not?
Definitely. Okay, guys, you still tuned into a BrownSense in conversation with none other than Nokukhanya Mncwabe from Matawi. That is the CEO and co-founder of Matawi, as you know it. Right. Do not forget to go and shop for her products on our e-commerce platform. That is brownsense.africa, and then shop for Matawi. The next question. When did it start? Right. I know you said you have a co-founder. When did it start, as in like what year? And where do you see it going in the future?
Yeah, so it actually started, it started as any business does, just as a thought. It was around, I can't even tell you unyaga, but basically, we were giving thought to, I need to start a business. I need to move out of this consulting line. And I didn't yet know what that business was going to be, but the thinking that I was doing a lot of consulting with my mother. And Yena, she had been involved. So Mina, I'm a last born, but a late last born. So Oma is now like very readily retired. But in her time, she used to work in social development. So she used to do a lot of training with Abantu Besifazane in particular, and it was also in rural contexts. So she was trying to encourage me. She had in fact said, why don't I think about sourcing handmade goods and then creating an e-commerce store? And she said to me, you know, there were women she had worked with, Evenda, there were women she had worked with in Northern KZN, with the women in KZN, it was beaded goods. In Limpopo, it was a lot of hand woven, handcrafted, and ceramic goods. So that was the initial thinking. And then the drought hit Cape Town. And I think that was around 2017. Yeah, we felt the squeeze. And then it became clear, Lemvula is not coming. So by this stage, and I think it's not something that will have been felt by people in other provinces. But by this stage, we were queuing for water. There were rations in terms of how much water you could get. And Tina, the water point that we used to queue at was a spring that fed ESAB. And ESAB was basically foregoing the water that they were using for production in order to provide abahlali with water. So there we would be, early morning, sifolile. It felt like 94 elections. The queue would be around the block, you know, and there would be those people, you know what I mean? And there would be those people who understand what's who would get there 3 o'clock in the morning, babeke isihlalo just to make sure ukuthi bagcine indawo yabo. But I remember standing in this queue and I said to my husband, you know, life as we know it is never going to be the same. Like when you get to a point where SAB has to make the call about whether they are brewing utshwala or whether they're giving abahlali amanzi, either ukuthi baphuze or amanzi okuxubha ekuseni. You know, like when you're having to make that level of call. And so I said, you know, we're feeling the pinch because we're grateful for this water, but it means ukuthi kukhona la kuzoshoda khona ngala. And that really sparked my mind. I thought to myself, but surely there must be another form of alcohol that uses less water. But I didn't know. And so that was how I started doing the research. And that was how I discovered this thing about iqhilika. And you know, as fortune would have it, when you start down one road, uNkulunkulu uyathanda ukuvula enye indlela. And a friend of mine was at Rhodes at the time, and he was doing a PhD, and his PhD involved honey, not for honey's sake, but his PhD involved extracting propolis from honey to use in aquaculture. And so I said, hey man, awuthola ugogo lapho who knows how to make this thing. Learn how to make this thing. Ubuye usukwazi ukuyenza. And he did. But he also discovered ukuthi one of the professors at Rhodes actually had a commercial meadery. And so even as we were just researching and thinking about this thing, we were also just taking the practical steps to do it. And because ugogo Mawa, I'm sorry, because she's a home brewer, she was really able to do a lot of the taste testing initially, to tell us where we had our sugars off, to give us a guidance in terms of whether we needed more heat, and then also just to be able to say to us, ukuthi, you need to be mindful, ukuthi, you're not experimenting and trying to create something nina intend uyiphuza but nicabangele abanye as well. Think about the market that you're wanting to market to. And so that's how it literally just went from a something to a hey, there's an opportunity and the timing seems to be right for this other thing. And then good fortune just getting into the frame as well. And here we are, eventually able to present Matawi to the market.
No, that's very beautiful. That's very beautiful. All right, I'm going to turn to the audience right now. Currently, at this point in time, I would like to invite you guys to actually start popping in questions. I have one comment from Unknown Solefife saying, thank you for the rebrief for those of us who joined late. Remember, guys, you are in conversation with BrownSense. This is BrownSense in conversation with Nokukhanya. Nokukhanya Mncwabe. I had a bit of a mouthful there. Sorry. Nokukhanya Mncwabe for Matawi. All right. Moving on to the next question, right? In 2020, we hit a very unfortunate turn. Now, I heard you mentioned the water situation in Cape Town. That was the first issue that you overcame. And then came a COVID, go 2020, and moving on to what you call many other obstacles. My first question would be, who was your support system at that time? We've already identified one, which is Uma Ugogo. But who else kept you going? And how did you keep your head up? Because for many people, they had to resort to going back to looking for jobs to be employed. And at this point in time, this was the very same time where jobs were scarce, people were losing their jobs. How did you manage to stay afloat and stay on surface as Matawi and as a person? In terms of mental health as well. That is the very most important part of it that I want to ask you.
Yeah, that's such a great question. Charles, like COVID, I don't think anyone expected what this is done. I think all of us just thought, oh, a few weeks, nyana, and then we're going to come out on the other side. And for Matawi, we were in a very blessed place. Just when COVID hit, we were at the point of signing funding. It was private equity. And that funding had been earmarked for very specific things. It was supposed to be to get us into warehousing space so that we could also expand our production. And then it would have meant the onboarding of more staff, more full-time staff. And we are literally here ngomusa wenkosi because we didn't sign that agreement. Because if we had, then it would have basically meant ukuthi we immediately took on payroll, we immediately took on overheads, operational overheads that we would not have been able to sustain without sales. So on the one hand, it was a blessing in disguise because it meant that we just remained as small as we were and as bootstrappy as we were. But you know that thing of the mental health, that one is a good question because I think, it hit us so hard. And I remember being very conscious that I need to do something, otherwise depression is on like ngizocabanga kakhulu, ngizogcina sengalali, I'm just going to be like the stress is just going to finish me. And so I stumbled upon an opportunity to do an accelerator program, and it was offered by Startup School Africa, and it was just one of, I think, in fact ukuthi mina nga-apply on the last day that they were accepting applications. And I just remember thinking, let me get into a 3-month program where I'm having to keep busy, do my readings, but I'm also contributing to my personal development. And that decision, honestly, was the best decision I ever made because I was asked, I didn't expect it to be as intense as it was. I referred to that program as like a mini MBA. And they were asking me questions about my business, about my strategy, about our decisions, about our to market plan. And, it was things that I thought I knew. But umuntu uma ekubuza ekubuzisisa ephinde ekubuza, you're compelled to really, really think deeply. And so it was in that time that we actually just, it was as if we dismantled all of Matawi and then we started to rebuild it again. Because some of the questions I was asked things like, why consignment terms? Why are you going B2B? If you're having to wait 30 days to 90 days for payment, what does that mean for your cash flow? Why have you not considered I'm a marketplace? Why are you not doing digital? And so those were all the things that really got us to think about how to build a lean business, how to build a business that optimized our cash flow, how to build a business that wasn't so impatient to grow all at once and wasn't impatient to take on a funding. So in fact, after that point, we were just like, this private equity, it don't say where should for funding. And we continued just self-funding. And honestly, for me personally, I survived because my husband he kept me afloat. He understood the vision, let me put it that way. And then with the business, we basically just had to press pause on a lot, which was hard for us because I get to we are a micro entity, which means the volumes we produce are very small. So we couldn't even produce to put stock away so that when we could start trading, at least. But the positive outcome of that incubator experience was that we had to do a pitch as a component of the course. And I had no expectations. You must remember what I applying. I went in there confused and really just wanting to safeguard my mind. And Matawi won. We won the pitch, which basically gave us a cash injection of 100,000 from Investec. And I like to say that it was not even our efforts. It was just the fact that we had been made to think so deeply about the business, about the strategy, about our priorities, about the future focus, that we were in a position just to articulate it a lot better. So Investec, what they saw was our potential. They understood the environmental impact potential, the social impact potential. They understood that this is a business which has now chosen to go for very lean overheads and that wants to prioritize income generation, job creation, and do it in a streamlined way. And so that 100,000, it made the difference. It's the reason we are still here when so many people that we know and so many companies that had been working in the craft alcohol space, they went under.
All right. Guys, you're still tuned into it, BrownSense, live in conversation with the co-founder and CEO of Matawi, that is Nokukhanya Mncwabe. Please don't forget to drop down our questions. I'm looking carefully at them. Drop them down on the comments down below, and I'll be able to raise them up to Nokukhanya for her to answer them for you. I see there's another comment right over there. It says, this is very interesting information. Nokukhanya, for someone that is in the same business line as you, right? I want to ask this question, posing it as someone that's in the alcohol business. Now, there was a time when COVID restricted a trade year alcohol for some time, and there's some products, alcoholic products, that have short life span or short
Yeah.
shelf life. And then there's also Ezako, which I would like to believe with they have longer lifespan. How do you work around that in terms of a production? When did you have to, were you faced with that challenge of having to stop to trade
Mm,
at all? Um, and if that, what were the losses that came with it?
yeah.
And how would you advise someone to push forward with that, with having had those losses?
Yeah. Yo, Charles, you thought about these questions. These are great questions. You know, that is such a fantastic question because actually that's what a lot of people were facing. And I think what hits the small craft producers most. So craft producers are producing anything from 1,000 liters to 5,000 liters, 10,000, if they're really at a point where they've built out their supply chain well, or their demand side well. Um, and Tina, we were very fortunate because the people who were hurt most were actually the craft beer producers. And the reason for that is because one of their margins are so tight. You're producing an item which you can't retail a can for 500 rand. You're retailing a can for between 20 to, let's say, 40 at max, right? But if you think about what goes into this, it's the contents themselves, are my ingredients. It's the label, it's the can itself, and then the canning process. So you'll find ukuthi the craft beer guys, mhlawumbe bazothola 3 rand, 5 rand per can, right? I mean, and that's a very generous assessment. And then because it's canned, the shelf life is very tight, as you were saying. It has to be consumed within 18 months. Otherwise, you basically have to get rid of it. Um, we were very fortunate because at the time that I was being made to think about these things, I realized, Oti, no, no, no. Mina, I need to go for the premiumized side of things where at least I know, Oti, yes, there's contents, yes, there's bottle, yes, there's label, but my share of this, my profit share of this one is a little bit higher so that I'm able to absorb the costs, I'm able to cover salaries. So this one is a numbers game. Like if you're not moving numbers at retail scale, you are struggling. And so that was why we basically went with three. And the other advantage of this one is that, as you know, the alcohol volume on the spirits at 30%, 43%, it's so high that it's not something izobola, which is why you can basically lay down. I mean, my dream is to basically put down some Matawi into wood, age it like a cognac for 5 years, and then it pulls it's immature, because we know that we have that advantage. It has the flexibility to do that. So in our case, although we suffered because we couldn't make and store, we didn't suffer in terms of having to uchitha utshwala bethu, it meant that, but the problem is that our fermenters are so small that by the time we could sell, I mean, that's why we're sitting with a situation where anyone who wants Matawi gin right now, I'm having to say to them, "Ngicela uyokhuluma ne-BrownSense bandla, hamba uthenga e-BrownSense," because we're still making batch to catch up for the deficit, you know. But for many, many people, that was actually what put them under. It was the fact that the money that they had put into product, they couldn't move to recover back email. And so almost you must remember what it means capital has to go in again for the next production line. And if you don't have the cash flow coming in, it means a new outlay of capital. And for many people, that was the difference. It was just a case of no. And for a lot of people, after the first lockdown was lifted, they were hopeful. They invested the capital, and then it closed again. And so by the third time, they were just like, I something so or something that is not as risky, something that is not as susceptible to loss.
All right, beautiful. I'm just quickly gonna go through the comment section. I see we got 3 new comments. The first one, can you hear me? The first one is from Omasiabe Mukine saying, "Beautiful story, Kanya. I purchased my bottle already. Um, I'm really looking for evidence."
No,
But
I
yeah,
know my
anyways,
favorite water bottle.
no, no, I know for a fact. I'm just dragging out. Ufuna ukubona ethe, "Imatawi."
Oh,
All right, and then we have another comment. I really can't see your name, but the comment says, "Really enjoyed this beautiful story." This is really a beautiful story that I did not know about prior. I had a bit of information about Matawi, and it's so good to actually learn more about this brand that I'm really passionate about. As you know, on and off camera, I'll forever brag about how proud I am of Matawi as a brand. Moving on to the next question, and a very important question, right? Where can one get Matawi products in South Africa? Or, sorry, in Gauteng?
okay. Oh, Masiwa, thank you for the question. So all of Matawi's products are available online. And for the Gauteng people, I say to you, if you are not buying it on BrownSense, I don't know why. Because BrownSense basically ships for free as soon as you purchase for 450 Rand. So if you buy the duo pack, delivery is free. If you buy one and you buy Masiabe's amazing hair care system, that's it. Delivery is free. So for the people in Gauteng, BrownSense is really the best place to get your product. But we'll also be coming up. You must remember that we literally started trading digital just before December, so it's just been a few months of trading, and we're planning a road trip to come up to Joburg, not so much for the retail space, but to speak to restaurants, to speak to hotels, just so that people can at least buy, a glass to enjoy somewhere nice. And Charles, as you know, Tina, we're very much about creating that ecosystem that supports the circulation of the brown rand. So we've really identified, and please, ngoba sise Cape Town, so we don't know all the places. Put it here in the link where we must go. We want black-owned businesses. We want to know I'm a pub, I'm a restaurant, I'm a hotel. Invite us. We will come. We will come. You will be our first priority. So thank you for the question, Mustewa.
All right, Mzu, I hope you heard that right. That one was specially for you. Guys, you're still tuned into a live with a BrownSense, and we are still chatting to a co-founder and CEO, Nokukhanya Mncwabe. Oof, I keep on stuttering when I get to this part. But yeah, anyways, without further ado, guys, please drop more questions. If there's no more questions, then I'm gonna close this off. I know Uguti, you just hinted to us, Uguti, they must purchase Ilona, Matawi, and as well as Runako Naturals from Umasiabe, and
Yeah,
then they'll still get free shipping.
they will
On
still
that
get
note,
the
guys,
free
you can
shipping.
find all these products from our e-commerce site, that is brownsense.africa. Shop around, click on the shop button. You will find all the businesses that we have listed there. If you have your own black owned business, please do hit me up. Make sure Uguti, you're getting your business as exposed as possible. So when you purchase on our e-commerce platform, You purchase, and we give you a promise yogurt we deliver within 2 to 5 working days. So that means if you're in Gauteng, guess what? You might get it on the same day or maybe in 2 days from then. But guaranteed, 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 we will deliver to you. So, Mr. Lebone, please do head over to BrownSense.Africa, shop for Matawi, and shop for other amazing products that we have listed on the e-commerce site. And then we'll have it delivered right to your doorstep or the
Yeah.
desired address that you would have chosen.
Thank you so much, Charles.
I,
Before Uhamba, can I also just give a plug to BrownSense? But
yep.
for those of us who are doing the business, we are so grateful for the support that we receive from you guys. I like to tell people that Mina, I'm doing legacy stuff. I'm doing generational things. Our parents, all core, they were locked out of the economy. Thina sesinethuba manje to make up for that deficit, but you come to it with often a lack of knowledge about how to make things happen. And BrownSense has just been phenomenally supportive, not just in terms of the marketing on the group, in terms of getting us to understand, raise our game standards of excellence, how to set up the store. Like, it was so much more hands-on, I have to say, than it take a lot, to the extent that I was just like, it take a lot and me. I'm very happy and I'm very well supported here. And so I would really encourage anyone who is thinking about it, who would like to take the leap, go for it. And it's not just BrownSense Africa, which is BrownSense Africa, which has been phenomenal, but it was also great to be at the market, to meet the other vendors, to actually put the faces to the people whose products I had exposure to. It's such a sense of community, and it makes me so proud to be able to say to people, I'm a part of the BrownSense family. You can find our product on the platform. So to you guys as well, thank you for everything that you do. We really appreciate you guys.
Thank you, and we shall forever continue to circulate the rand. The rand is supposed to move amongst us. The only way that I always say this, and this is a side note to everyone that's watching. The only way that we can know growth is if we help each other grow. And the only way we can help each other grow is by experiencing each other. So this means, again, go buy Matawi. Stop going to buy those other botanical, those other expensive gins, and that other beer, and that other liqueur. Try it out. I promise you, this is from me. I'm not even bought to even say these things. I've tried out all 3 different products, and they're all amazing. I will not say, Ogoti, will not go into buying it again. I'll definitely buy it again. And I'll buy it for someone as a gift. And as
Yeah.
a matter of fact, I'm thinking of buying it for someone as a gift your birthday. So,
Thank you, Charles. And you must let people know as well. I recently bought is it pronounced AU Gold, the vodka. I had the vodka,
AU Gold Vodka,
AU
yes.
Gold, the vodka,
Mm.
and then Itologazi, they were sold out of the one I wanted, but I'm coming back for it. Ukamba is there. Like, you can set up a whole bar of black owned brands. That's what I love about BrownSense.
Do you understand? There's more other brands. There's more other brands that I'm looking forward to listing onto the e-commerce site. It's South African brands that really need to be on the e-commerce site because we are all rooting for one cause, and it's to
Yeah.
make sure we see that rand circulates amongst us. But anyways, with enough encouragement, I'm pretty sure Witty, as time goes by, people are actually gonna jump on, they're gonna hop on. It is with people that telling their success story, like you, Kanya, that would actually get people to actually believe and go more into buying into a BrownSense. And I really appreciate it from my side, the good words that you've been putting out there. I am really passionate about Matawi. I'm looking forward for us to going into greater heights together. It's really interesting to experience such great feedback because usually you don't get good feedback. You always get either
It's
negative
true.
or no feedback at all.
It's
It's
so
either
true.
yes, it's either amount complaints or no feedback at all. So it's really encouraging, guys. please throw in feedbacks. For those of you that have bought a Matawi, please go on to the BrownSense e-commerce site. Don't forget to leave reviews. I see some people are already dropping through reviews. Drop down reviews. Let us know how you feel about the products. Like I said, we can only grow through each other's experience. We experience each other's products and we share with each other how we can grow. The only way we can grow is through experience. All right. With that being said, I want to read another comment. I have a little heart there from Unozipo Dame. I hope I pronounced that name correctly. And then there's another comment from Mr. Lebone saying, "I'm very inspired by your story. I am very inspired by your story, Kanya. As a small business director, I love your story and enjoy it so much." So again, I will be bringing Okanya back for my interviews for a follow up because you speak so well, and my
Thank you
people
so
love
much,
you.
Charles. And thank you to everyone who signed in. We're sorry that we weren't able to have it at the right time, but I think we've got members of the community who came through anyway. Mr. Lemone, it's lovely to see you. I'm excited to hear about your business too. I think that we can only encourage each other, as abantu abamnyama. Mina, I am someone who is very honest about the challenges of doing this business, but it doesn't discourage me from continuing. So as long as we can just root for each other and each one grow one, then we really can go to great heights. So thanks so much for the opportunity, Charles.
All right, with that being said, guys, we've drawn to the conclusion of this. Thank you so much for your time. As Okanya had said, uh, I will leave you with this one note. Masibambane, sibumbane, sibonisane, ukuya phambili. Thank you guys
Wow.
for joining through. Cheers and goodbye.